All right, y'all. So let's move on to our next topic. Let's get into this Tamar story. So, y'all already know a couple of weeks ago, Tamar got dragged on social media because she did an interview with Nene Leakes. And when they were talking about a couple of things, they love. I'm surprised she didn't, bringing up Candy Burris and all this other stuff. Surprised she didn't bring up Candy Burris during the interview with T.S. Madison. But she, did the interview with Nene, and they got to talking they got to talking about Lonnie Love, her former The Real co-host, to which she repeatedly referred to her as Big Back Cadillac. So with her doing all of that, of course, people on social media decided to drag her. And so now, weeks later, she's decided to apologize. So a few weeks after Tamar threw Venetian blind shade at the former The Real co-host Lonnie Love on Nene Leakes' talk show, the singer slash messy media personality has issued an apology. While kikiing with the Breakfast Club's Lauren LaRosa, Tamar addressed calling Lonnie Love Big Back Cadillac and the social media backlash that ensued. Quote, that is me being on Nene's show. I love Nene. We have a lot of history, but that is an interview I'm not so proud of. There were cocktails involved, and I just feel like everything is not for the public, she said after referring to the interview as girlfriend kitchen talk. Later in the conversations, the 48-year-old R&B diva formally backtracked on her offensive statement. Say, I probably should say this out loud in front of everybody. I apologize for calling her a big back Cadillac. That was just a vulnerable moment, and I apologize, Lonnie. Not only did she apologize, but she even said she'd be open to reconciling with Lonnie. Now, while that, in my opinion, may be a mature of Tamar, who we've always gone on the record to say about her that at her big age, she just be acting so damn immature. And we live for, the lip smacking, the sassiness, the shadiness, the one-liners, all of the stuff. And yeah, it's all entertaining. But I think it comes to a point where people just get tired of the BS. And it was big of her to want to put out an olive branch. But I don't know if this should be a situation where you out here blaming it on the alcohol. See, I'm about sick of people always trying to blame things on, oh, the drinks was flowing or something. I'm like, girl, how much did you have? Because if I'm doing a show and I'm not drinking like to the point of, remember that iconic episode of Watch What Happens Live when Regina King and Jack A. Harry was on it and they was 3 sheets to the wind from the amount that they drank. Now that's the pinnacle of drinking. I would think that you have to get to be able to say the things that you were saying about Lonnie Love. But you now saying all of this, it's like, I don't know if I'm buying it 110% that you wanted to sit up here and say, oh, it was the drinks was flowing, that this was something I should have kept to myself. Because I'm like, when Nene was asking you the questions about being on the Real and what you was going through in that whole situation, you could have just spoke freely and not been to the point where you could have talked about what happened in your experience, but not be at a, but not go in and call Lonnie a name. Now, don't get me wrong. It was funny and I laughed because I'm entertained by the shenanigans and you knew what you was doing when you said what you said. But I feel like you're trying to backpedal because of the backlash that ensued from you calling her Big Back Cadillac. Because you said it more than once. Even to the point where Nene was even jumping in and calling her Big Back Cadillac. And it's like, ma'am, this is your talk show. You need to be a little more mature than the person you got on as a guest. Or at least call out and be like, sis, like, pump your brakes on the big girl reads. Because remember, once upon a time, y'all both was, battling the bulge too. I won't say that Tamar was ever a bigger. I mean, at one point she was because she had the kid and stuff. But Nene, you wasn't always, Slim Shady either. I'm trying to think of a name. I was gonna call her Slim Thug. But anyway, so yeah, so basically, you know what? I'm glad that you apologize. I'm glad you're the bigger person, but I feel like you need to grow. You got a lot of growing up to do. Like you really need. I hope this is not one of those situations like, oh yeah, I apologize, and then a couple of weeks later you get interviewed again and you say something else where you repeat the same behavior over and over and over again. And I think that's probably what the issue that a lot of people have with Tamar. It's like, yeah, okay, that's great that you apologize, but you keep doing this. You keep following the same pattern. You keep repeating the same pattern, I guess is what I want to say. Keep doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result. And what we call that, the definition of insanity. So I definitely want to hear from y'all, whatever your thoughts are on this story regarding Tamar Braxton. I mean, I would ask y'all, agree with, or you here for the apology, but I guess it don't matter what we think. The apology happened. So I want to hear from y'all. Let me know what your overall thoughts on this story in the comments down below.